very much. So my name is Matt. I'm the Employability Points Officer here at the University of Kent. And today I'm going to talk to you about two things. Firstly, the student impact. Ultimately, how can our students impact upon your business? And secondly, what the University of Kent is currently doing innovatively to place students in industry. A little bit of context on the university. So at the moment, we've got over 19,000 students studying here in Canterbury and over at Medway. We're also the UK's European University with study centres in Rome, Athens, Brussels and Paris. We contribute 0.9 billion to the local economy, and most recently we've been awarded TEF Gold in the UK Government's Teaching Excellence Framework. So what is a typical University of Kent student? Well, firstly, our students are really motivated and engaged about enhancing their employability. So in regards to the Employability Points Scheme, which I'll talk to you about later, over 50% of our students are currently actively engaging in this programme. Every year we see about 3,000 students go to our careers fair, about 90,000 volunteering hours are being logged, and thousands are being involved in ambassadorial work and student societies and groups. Our students also want to ensure they get real good value for their money, increasingly so year on year. If you went back to 2014, 2013, and you spoke to a student in September in the first week and asked them about their employability, they're free to get lost. They're most interested about where the pub is, where their room is, where the lecture is, and so forth. I know as an undergrad myself, I was exactly the same. Now, what we find currently is 1 in 2, 1 in 3 students in their very first week actively seeking us out to talk to us about employability, to talk to us about internships, and to talk to us about grad schemes. There's a much greater focus upon this, and ultimately our students are looking to invest their time into their degree to a much greater extent. One reason is the competition is getting greater and greater. In 2016, 275,000 students graduated in the UK with a 2-1 or a first. Year prior, a national report confirmed that on average 80 graduates were applying for every graduate role. Our students therefore really are acutely aware of the need to stand out from the crowd. Our students are Generation Y, therefore they're innovative, they're tech savvy, and they're achievement orientated. And lastly, our students have what we call the graduate attributes, or we hope they do anyway. So the University of Kent, alongside Kent Union, our student union, in consultation with companies, created the graduate attributes. And through academic activity and co-curricular, whatever they do, we try to reinforce to the students what attributes they're developing. And the attributes the university came up with include confidence, creativity and innovation, critical reflection, global and cultural awareness, integrity and accountability, intellectual curiosity and resilience. So how can our students benefit businesses? Firstly, students bring in new perceptions on organisational matters, ultimately can lead to new ways of thinking about a business. Students are also affordable workforce support. Arguably, many of our students don't want an internship where they're making coffees and teas. They don't want to be sorting out filing cabinets. They want examples and experience of real-life work, and that can be achieved at an affordable cost. Our students also develop a range of particular skills through their degree programme, whether that's photography, videography, website design and research, and that can be applied to specific projects for your business. Student placements will also create additional time for employees to focus on more pressing and strategic matters, and it also is a really good opportunity for long-term recruitment into entry-level roles. An internship can act as a try before you buy model. Lastly, but no means least, internships and student placements are a great opportunity for businesses to create long-lasting strategic relationships with the University of Kent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a few case studies about how different companies locally and nationally have worked with the university in recent years and the benefit for that. So firstly, Reflect Digital. So as you know about Reflect Digital, they've been supporting us for about 4 years now with internships in digital marketing, account management and website design. And what's great about these internships is the students are getting real life experience of these areas. They're not making teas and coffees as mentioned, they're going through an intensive training programme and then they're let loose on live projects with clients. And we've had really good feedback from students and business alike, and ultimately it's an affordable way to get our students actively working within your business, undertaking what could be considered real work. In terms of creating additional time for employees, a great example is Medway Council. So they've been supporting the EP programme for about 6 years. Through those 6 years, they've offered 100 placements to our students. That covers legal, finance, through to policy, public health, to data, to stats, to videography, to website design. And a common theme throughout from Medway Council is when they do take on our students, it gives them more capability for their staff to work on what they believe is more pressing matters. A great example is Vlad, who's pictured in the bottom of the slide. So Vlad went in and done a 12-week internship in procurement, and having caught up with his manager afterwards, he was quite honest in saying he ultimately did not want an intern. He was told from management above, you got one, deal with it. So his solution was to give a Mission Impossible project to keep him quiet for 12 weeks. To his dismay, well, not dismay, to his pleasure, I guess, Vlad completed that project in 4 weeks. So he thought, you know what, I'll give him another project, I'll keep him quiet. He'd done that in 2 weeks. Whilst he was doing that, his employees were able to work on more pressing matters, and he had such an impact for the first time ever, the council offered him a 12-month academic placement to keep hold of him. So that lasting impact that was there for the organisation. In terms of recruitment, a great example was TMOP. They're a local medical legal negligence firm based here in Canterbury. They had taken on 10 interns over the last 3 years for the EP programme, with a 100% conversion rate from internship to entry-level permanent position. Internships now form the backbone of their recruitment strategy. It's mutually beneficial for both students and company because they have a 10-week trial period to see if it works for both parties, and if successful, they get an entry-level role. Following on from the entry-level role, most of the candidates have then been promoted onto analysts. In regards to new perspectives, a great example is Sustainability Monitor. They're a startup based here in Canterbury. And Ronnie, the MD, he comes from a large corporate and he decided on his own, and he looks at analysing sustainability in global industries, initially fast fashion. His first port of call when the business was growing was to bring on an intern, a master's student in psychology. The student brought in new ideas about software for data analysis, which was soon implemented by the business. 1 year later, he took on another intern who brought in new ideas about data visualization. Again, that was then introduced to the business, which has led to a complete revamp of the business strategy, allowing further growth and success. With Ronnie now looking at new markets, particularly advertisement in Southeast Asia. In terms of project work, as mentioned, our students can apply their set skills to different particular projects. In terms of video creation, Simply Ice Cream, a company based over in Ashford, they wanted a promotional video on budget to be displayed at an outdoor film festival in Brighton. With budget limited, they took on one of our students who created an amazing piece of work, which was then viewed by thousands of people and therefore was mutually beneficial. The company got the work done to a standard they expected, whilst on budget, whilst the student had a great opportunity to boost their portfolio. On the flip side, Emir wanted some project work done looking at consumer insight to get an appreciation of the mindset of customers to ultimately boost sales. They took on one of our PhD students to apply their research skills. Whilst Medway Council, we're currently organising this at the moment, they're going to be taking on our psychology students and our social policy students to apply their research skills on a project looking at the high rate of abortions and low rate of contraception over in Medway. The outcome of that research will then hopefully affect policy for the council. So there's literally countless ways you can work with the University of Kent, from our entrepreneurial students with a business startup journey, all the way through to student societies and academic placements. But principally for this quick talk, I'm going to talk to you about the career service and then more so about the employability points scheme, which I myself am responsible for. So our career service is multi-award winning, and largely this is due to something we do called Employability Festival. So over a 4-week period, we run hundreds of events, which are workshops, employer-led talks, psychometric testing, mock assessment centres and fairs. We also have the annual career fair during this period, which attracts over 130 companies. I do now believe it's actually one of the biggest career fairs in the south of the UK. We also have something called the Work Study Scheme, and this is a programme focused upon engaging our widening participation students, who statistically speaking may struggle in the graduate employment market. These students are put through an intensive training programme, and once ready, they gain access to apply for exclusive internships with local companies and the university. From the student point of view, there's a great opportunity for them, and they're extra driven, extra motivated, which has benefits for the companies. We also have the Work and Opportunities Fund. This is a pot of money available to students who are undertaking unpaid work experience. This can relate to travel, this can relate to childcare, attire and so forth. Understandably, unpaid internships, unpaid work experience are sometimes a necessity, and for a lot of our students, their financial burden is a real concern. Therefore, there's this pot of money available to the students to allow them to access these opportunities and for companies, therefore, to benefit from that talent. And now we have the employability point scheme, which is my personal responsibility. And ultimately, it was created by Kent Innovation Enterprise back in 2010. We went out to employers and we asked them one thing: why are you not recruiting our Kent students? They came back with two things: lack of real life skills, lack of relevant work experience. Now, the University of Kent has always been pretty good, well I think it is anyway, offering co-curricular activities to our students. We felt we needed to find a way to incentivise these students to engage with these activities. So we thought, you know what, everything they do, we give them employability points for doing so. The greater the activity, the more points they get, similar to our loyalty card system. So students get involved with all these activities, they earn all these points, and then they can cash in their points on prizes. Now the prizes are exclusive internships, work experience placements, training vouchers, and much more. Understandably, it's quite a popular scheme amongst our students. Over 8,600 students are currently enrolled this year, and we're supported by over 150 companies locally, nationally, and internationally. We've been shortlisted for 2 awards during our journey with the Times Higher Education, and the UK government used us as a case study back in 2015 about how industries and universities can collaborate. So the first part of the scheme is getting the students to develop their soft skills through undertaking co-curricular activities. And here's a snapshot of our points classification. In fact, it recognises about 200 different activities, but in some instances, we give them a fixed number of points. You go to a job interview, you get 5 points. You join a student society, you get 10 points, and so forth. In other examples, there's a range of points allocated to the activity. For example, a student is a bit like me, hates networking events. I actually hate them. I normally go in there, hover around, look awkwardly, go to the bar and walk out. They get 5 points, at least they went on to it. If that same student goes to that same networking event 12 months later, goes in there, talks to loads of people, gets some business cards, connects with some people on LinkedIn, really benefits from the experience, we give them 15 points. Their experience has been very different and thus their employability. So the students need to log all the activities they engage with on our scheme, reflect upon this, which is all great for their self-development, and we in turn allocate them points. Now the reason they earn these points is so they can apply for these exclusive rewards offered by the external business community. So if a student gets 200 points, they can apply for an internship, 4 to 12 weeks paid summer role. 175 points is a project placement. That is where they're focusing specifically on a project, maybe remotely, maybe part-time, and they apply certain skill set. Work experience, 150 points, 2 weeks unpaid. Work shadowing, 100 points, 2 days unpaid. For 75 points, there's workshops, experience days, and so forth. Ultimately then, the more the student does, the more points they get, the better the prize they can apply for. This ultimately incentivises them to get involved in these co-curricular activities, develop those work-ready skills, and they get for the best get rewarded with work experience. But from the business point of view, if you do want an internship, you do want a student placement, you live through the EP scheme, you're outright getting access to the most engaged, driven, motivated students here at the University of Kent. Also, just a note as well, rewards aren't guaranteed, they still go through an application process and an interview. I'm currently coordinating about 500 interviews in May next month, so if you see me shaking in the corner later, that's why. But yeah, it's not guaranteed, they still have to go through that process. So, we work with over 150 companies. These include the big names, the big corporates like Santander, Handelsbanken, Enterprise Rent-A-Car and so forth. We also work with a lot of public authorities, locally, KCC, Kent County Council, Medway Council, Kent City and so forth, and at a national level with DSTL and Civil Service. But foremost, we work with local businesses, small, medium enterprises, and the reason we do that is it's mutually beneficial for our students and the company. For instance, responsibility can be much greater with an SME. Last year, a student done a marketing internship with a local furniture making company, and effectively they were the marketing department for 3 months. Whereas for a company where the student's given that greater level of responsibility, the impact can be much more beneficial. Before I wrap up, funding. If you guys are looking at internships and you do want some funding, we have the Santander internship scheme. This is for SMEs based in the UK. 50% salary contribution for internships 4 to 10 weeks. They must be paid £8.75 outside London, inside London a little bit more. And there must be an inclination or a slight interest in recruiting a student at the end. We also have that Santander funding is still available if anyone wants it, come and speak to me. In terms of ERA, that's currently unavailable, but hopefully will be back next year. That is 85% salary contribution for 6 or 12-week internships. The student must be paid national minimum wage, and the internship and all the business must be linked to one of the key ERA themes. That's AI, biotech, and digital creative. Alternatively, it's justifiable if the internship can show an economic impact upon the south of the UK. Again, you must be an SME based in the south, outside of London. Thank you very much. Any burning questions? I won't be here for the Q&A later. Awesome. If you do think of anything, feel free to drop me an email or connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.